guys, on our Crosstalks today we have amazing creator Laura Shefford. Did I pronounce it good, Laura?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
It will be great you to introduce us and talk about your background a little bit more, and like to explain how you appeared in augmented reality.
Let me try and make this quickly. My creative career spans over 20 years. So I've been working with technology for even longer than that. And I come from a fashion background. So I used to make actually gloves and accessories that were very highly regarded and worn by Lady Gaga, Rihanna, Madonna. Many top stylists and celebrities wore them. And all the time I used to I've been building my own website for 30 years. So I've always been playing with technology. But about 10 years ago, I just decided I didn't want to make objects anymore. You know, fashion is famous for not being sustainable. And I just thought I'd channel all my creativity into digital. And that's what I've been doing for 10 years. And I use all different kinds of digital tools. I work with vectors a lot in 2D, but I also work in 3D, which I adore. And I started playing with augmented reality, it's probably about 5 years ago. Because all of a sudden it took whatever you were creating from a screen into somebody's personal space. And I think it's a really very interesting concept. It really creates a link between somebody and the art. And over the last few years, I've been invited to get involved in different projects. And so I keep going back to AR because I just find it's a really rich way to express an idea. It's a really rich way to give somebody an experience. I also love the fact that I don't need to use any material objects to do this. And if I create a filter and I put it onto Instagram, anybody can use it and anybody can play with it. And it's just one file. So I think what keeps me in digital is the fact that I can be unrestrained in creativity. And I was constrained by material objects when I was making things. So I'm working right now on some new pieces where I'm collaborating with a poet who's also works with AI called Sasha Styles. And I'm really, really pleased with what we've got there. So combining poetry with visuals to give somebody, you know,
That's amazing. That's amazing. Can you share some details on this project? Like what is the main objective of it and how you jumped on it?
I think that I've been inspired by Sasha's poetry anyway. I can't give too much away actually because I also do quite a lot of brand work. I work for different clients in creative direction, and then all different elements of, you know, whether it's illustration or animation, even graphic design and branding, all of those things. So I was actually talking to them, and then I was having a similar conversation with Sasha. So it may well just all come together as almost like a partnership with a brand.
Got it.
Because of kind of shared, not necessarily aesthetic, but I think we all have similar ideas. Maybe they're rooted in nature or those kinds of things, nature, well-being, those sorts of things. I'm afraid watch this space. You have to wait and see.
So do you remember your first experience on Spark AR? What did you create there?
Yeah, absolutely. I was invited to make something for CADAF, Digital Art Month. Where was the first one? The first one was in New York, and it was really mid-pandemic, so people were coming in and going out of lockdowns all the time. And a great deal of my work over the last few years has been looking and playing with the idea of virtual psychedelics. Kind of creating cure, like digital snake oil, let's call it, digital medicine, digital psychedelics. And the first few pieces were very much grounded in that. I used sound clips from Timothy Leary from The Psychedelic Experience, because I think a lot of that book doesn't necessarily need the psychoactive substances. You know, you can apply those things to life. That's kind of my premise. And one of the pieces had an avatar and his voice saying, try to stay high as long as possible, which I think is just really good advice for anybody. You know, if you wake up in a happy mood, just try and stay there for the whole day.
It's hard, right?
Yeah, but it's in your hands also.
Yeah. Could you share the secret how to stay high all day, if you have one? Because like creativity is fun, but not always we're having fun.
No, it's true. I mean, you know, sometimes it can be really tricky. And it's indecision that throws you off. If you don't know what to do, that's the problem. So you have to work out what to do. Then I think you're good. If you know where you're going, you're really good. It's in those moments when you think it doesn't work, or I don't know what the solution is. And I think generally in those times, the best thing to do is to get up and go for a walk, and the answers come.
Got it. Can you tell, like, to those creators like who are starting right now, they want to know what is the best part to work in immersive technologies, and of course, like to say about like negative sides as well. What is the best and the worst side on being creator?
I would say, and I learned this before I got into digital, because I used to get commissions to create works for, you know, big music videos, or big shows, or big tours, really big, important fashion editorials. And it wouldn't matter how much effort I put into those things, they might not end up in the show. Might get edited out. The plans might change. Something might happen. So I found it really, really important to get all my pleasure from the creation. Because then you can't be disappointed. You know, if your only pleasure comes from what happens afterwards, but you have no idea whether that will happen at all, then it's a bit risky. If you put the joy into the creativity, you've benefited from it. And then if anything that happens afterwards is a bonus.
Yeah, because there are many situations whenever like our clients also some like order some stuff.
Everything can change.
And everything can change. Like when we had really strange situation because like war started in Ukraine, and our clients were from like directly like Ukraine or Georgia, and like they could not do any campaign because of the war, obviously. And like creators were asking like, what is happening? Like, where is my filter and so on? But yeah, it happens. But you said really good advice that we have to have fun in the creative process itself.
That's it. Like learn, you know, while you're doing it, you're learning something, or you're testing something, or you're experimenting, and get the satisfaction from that, from the art of creating.
As we were talking about creativity, it's not always easy to come up with the like coolest ideas. And how you work with your clients? Are they ready and coming with like direct and specific brief, or are they also open to your creative ideas, and how they manage to receive other ideas rather than internally?
I think it depends. You know, I was approached last year for a project from a very big client, and the agency had come up with this idea and then they presented it to me. And actually, when I looked at it, none of it was really possible.
Yeah.
As always. Or maybe some of it could have been possible with a lot of coding, a lot of bespoke, complicated testing. And so in that instance, I went back with, that's not going to work, or at least I can't deliver that. I could do this. And they just said, no, we don't want to do it. And I think sometimes, sometimes clients can come with something that's not actually possible, or it's not what you do. And I think, what clients can quickly, they just think you can do everything, when in fact, there are so many specific elements to the art of digital design, of creativity. So I think sometimes it's being clear what you do, and how you can translate that for them. Yeah. You know, so like understanding what your skills are and where your creativity lies, and then thinking about ways that you can make it relevant for brands.
Yeah. So it's not always easy to explain what your acronyms mean. So what do you advise to the creators, how to present your background, how to present your skills to those people who don't understand anything about like digital or immersive technologies?
I think in those instances, you have to change it every time. It depends who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Because the only thing they want to hear are things that are relevant to them or relevant to the project. Maybe a few little details might be fun, but principally what they're interested in is what matters to them. And so I think you're better saying very, very little, which is very pertinent to the conversation, than giving a broad overview of things that they at this point they'll be looking at you, but they're most possibly not listening. You know?
Yeah. Sure. Can you remember from your background any kind of like really fun situation with the client, or even pain point? What was the like worst part or fun fact while communicating with them?
Oh gosh, I think there've been too many. Does anything come to mind?
Whatever you learned on your...
I think one thing to be very aware of is that clients underestimate how long it takes to do things. And I really try to align on what is going to be made or created at the start. But I sense sometimes that the clients aren't really paying attention. And if they've got something in mind which is way out of budget, they'll still want you to do it. So trying to nail down what you're going to do with the clients at the start is really, really important.
Yeah, sure. So what do you recommend, like beginner creators? Where to start? Which tools to acquire? Do you have any kind of learning materials for them, like where they can go, jump in, just listen to someone?
With Spark, say?
Just in general, maybe Snapchat, maybe TikTok, or just...
Yeah, I'll speak about Spark. What I would say is really, really interesting. Sometimes people think that you need to have very complex 3D in order to make a really good effect. And I don't think that's always necessarily the case. And so I think for people interested in playing with augmented reality, just like play with it. See what happens when you play with either the models that they have in their library, or your own images, whether they're 2D or 3D. What I like about these tools is that you're fairly restrained, but it gives you the chance to really play with things. And I think you can get really good effects by just experimenting with simple things instead of trying to overcomplicate it. I think I've often got really good effects by building up tests. And invariably, when I make a spark filter, I kind of start with what I really, really, really want, which is probably breaking it because it's too many files and too much geometry. And then I just slowly but surely shave things off to get things within the file requirements.
Yeah, sure. So it's really interesting, your point of view about future of augmented reality and inserting it in marketing mix, how you see it.
I think it can become really, really useful. I know some people are reluctant to use their phones for everything, but they're very much a minority. Because even without telling somebody to pull their phone out if they go into a shop or into a restaurant or into a cafe, it's unlikely. So again, I think it's a really efficient means of communication. You know, in all those instances when you might print something that becomes either obsolete or damaged and doesn't have a very long shelf life, that you can channel information that can be real time and accurate and also enriching. It can be more than a notice on, a piece of paper.
And the last question for today, what do you think about like cross creators, like augmented reality marketplace? Why it is important for beginner or medium or top sellers, creators to be on this kind of platform? In your opinion?
I think it's still very nascent, and there are still lots of individuals and companies that have an awareness but don't really understand how to get to it or how to get to the people that make it. And there aren't necessarily directories or catalogs or ways to discover this. And so I think the more that people can feel that they can make a good choice, it's better for everybody.
Yeah, and I think that creativity must be in the creativity frame. Like creators must not sell themselves. So we're kind of like completing each other. Like we're doing marketing direction, creators are doing their job. So it's really, we're really happy to have you on board, and we can talk for the future whenever maybe you will share some of your new works. Thank you for a talk. Amazing.
Thanks for, it's been real fun.
Yeah.
Lovely to meet you.
Me too.